Hi guys, welcome to Offbeat Conversations with me, Chin, and my co-host, Nick. This is the time of the week where we just dive into a couple of things that's going on in the world, things that interested us, things that took our fancy, to understand how they impact us as Christians, how we're to understand them as Christians, and what impact they have in our lives, if any, and probably your lives as well. So today we're diving into the infamous story of Prince Andrew, or rather I should say Andrew, and we're looking at a clip from a Surround episode with Allie Beth Stuckey, I think her name is, and yeah, a lot of interesting stuff to be discussed today, so we'll delve in. Let's jump in. Prince no more. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. This has been on my mind for quite some time, circling, and it made me think of quite a lot of things. I think mostly it made me sort of like appreciate the way salvation is handled, the way salvation is dealt with. To be honest with you. So that's why I thought to myself, you know what, let's have a conversation on Offbeat POV, just, you know, even if it's just a short one, a small one. But I felt like it was important enough for us to tackle it, to dress it up. So if in case you are living under a stone somewhere, I've always wanted to say that. If you are living under a stone somewhere and you've not been following the news whatsoever, unfortunately, as of a few days ago here in the UK, the brother to the king, which is Prince Andrew Montgomery Windsor, now known as, is no longer a prince. That title and styles and honors that came with that have been stripped off from him because of some controversial stories surrounding him that were tying him to Jeffrey Epstein. Again, most of you may not know who that is. We're going to give you a bit more information about who Jeffrey Epstein is in a little while. But first and foremost, I want you to take a look at this video that's going to give you all the information that you need to know for the conversation that Chin and I are about to dive into.
What shame Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has brought upon the royal family. His association with now dead billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein and accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell was clearly beyond the pale. But even worse, blinded by his own arrogance, he thought he could lie his way out of damning accusations made by Virginia Giuffre that she was sex trafficked to him when she was just 17. In the end, the damage Andrew was inflicting on the monarchy was so immense, King Charles had no option but to strip his brother of all his titles and honours, including Prince. Adding to Andrew's humiliation, he's being evicted from his royal mansion. Many are demanding his next home be a prison cell.
Was woken up by Ghislaine in the morning and told I was going to meet a prince. And we went shopping and Prince Andrew came over, and then we went to Club Tramp and he danced with me, and he's a horrific dancer, by the way, and he sweats a lot and he smells funny. And then we get in the car, and Andrew's not in the car with us. He's in the car behind us with his security guards. And Ghislaine tells me in the car that I have to do what I do for Jeffrey for Prince Andrew. And that's when I learned what was going to happen.
How many times were you trafficked to him?
3 times.
She says she met you in 2001. She says she dined with you, danced with you at Tramp nightclub in London. She went on to have sex with you in a house in Belgravia belonging to Ghislaine Maxwell, your friend. Your response?
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever.
You don't remember meeting her?
No.
But unfortunately for Andrew, Virginia had kept what has become one of the most recognisable and contested photos in the world. His spin was that it was a fake.
But it's possible that it was you With your arm around
That's
her waist.
me, but whether that's my hand or whether that's the position, but I have simply no recollection of a photograph ever being taken.
So there you have it, right? That's basically what's happened with Prince Andrew. Now, the unfortunate thing for him, the unfortunate thing for him is that, one, in that interview we just saw, when he was asked about meeting Virginia Giuffre, he said he had never. When he had no recollection. He had no recollection. When he was asked about whether he continued to be friends with Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted pedophile at the time, he said no. But then an email that has come out as well recently has shown that he continued conversations with him, or at least stayed in touch with him. And one of the conversations was to say that I can't wait until we play again, you know. And obviously, with everything in context, now people are thinking, well, what kind of playing was this? You see what I mean? I mean, the guy was blinking quite a lot when he was asked that question. And to make things even worse, when the Queen was alive, the late Queen, it's understood that the Queen advised him to just settle it and make it go away. Right. Okay. And he settled Virginia Giuffre's situation with reported about 12 million. I'm not sure if it was pounds or dollars, to settle that lawsuit to make it go away. Unfortunately for him, Virginia Giuffre then allegedly took her own life as well. So obviously the trauma that she suffered, or the consequences that she suffered from her early childhood and what she went through with Jeffrey Epstein was so extensive that even with a payout of money or whatever, I guess she just couldn't find peace. So now that is still hanging on top of Prince Andrew. Now the royal family in the UK is already on the decline. You know, the minute the Queen Mother passed, we were thinking, you know what, away with these people. We don't need them anymore. True. The only hope is Prince William, and he's trying his best to keep himself distanced from Andrew. And to be honest with you, I think even I could become a follower if Andrew was to take the front. You know, because William, was to take the front, not Andrew. Slip of the tongue. You know, so there's a lot going on, and obviously the royal family are trying to control that. Now, here's where our conversation is now that everybody is caught up with what's happening. The first thing that came to me, you know, which I've actually heard a few commentators as well comment about, was to say you can't take away his prince title because that's the blood title. You are born into that princeness. You are born into a royal family. You know, I understand that they have to take something away, or they have to show that they're doing something. They've evicted him from the palace and things like that. But then, you know, that's what I'm trying to understand, that in your opinion, in our opinion, what they're trying to do? Is this reasonable? Is this justice? You know, because I'll go on to the other factor of why the conversation was interesting for me. But for now, I'm thinking to myself, why not convict him as a prince? You know, the convicted prince. Why not, you know, the shameful priest, the fallen prince, the fallen prince, you know, the hated prince, you know, whatever prince you can, but you cannot have something that's a blood right be taken away from you. Isn't that ridiculous?
Well, I mean, it depends how you view the monarchy, I guess. Because if you view it as a divine order, then fine, maybe you can make the argument.
It is a divine order, is it not?
Yes.
We can talk about how they came into power.
Yes. With the Bible tells us that God sets up kings and he removes kings. However, I think in our day and age, we have to accept that the monarchy is more a symbolism.
Okay, it's become
as opposed to exactly. So,
but the origin, we can still say Queen Elizabeth, or going back to those kings before that, you know, we can still say that by divine right. I don't want to say if I can say the land was given to them, but by divine right, they were put to rule the royals of the United Kingdom.
The difference is, before, when it comes to kings and queens, they would have earned their spot as kings and queens, whether it's through how they're governing the kingdom, how they are running and managing the kingdom. If the kingdom is thriving, the people of the kingdom will love their king. You know, they want to preserve the bloodline, whatever. Great. Or through a war, maybe they fought the war and they won the war and they claimed the throne. So before, people earned their kingdoms. So you could say, you know what, I fought for this kingdom. I've made it better. I've given you guys prosperity. Therefore, it's my right, or whatever you wanna say. Nowadays, they haven't really earned anything. It's more.
They haven't earned anything because they had earned it already.
Yes, but because society has moved so far away from that model of operating, now they only exist in like a symbolic sense, which is why
that right that they've moved away from that model of operating?
I don't think it's either right or wrong, because I don't think God demands kings. It's just that he sets up kings if he wants, or he removes them. Israelites were fine without a king. They're the ones that demanded a king.
They had God as the king.
Of course, but that's what I'm saying, that the model of a monarchy is not the one that every society needs to govern to. So I can't say, no, God demands every country has a king, therefore, if you move away from it, you're moving away from God. No, I don't think so. So right now, which is why they're having a vote, or thinking of having a vote about, should we abolish the monarchy? You couldn't have that vote 200, 400 years ago.
I think it's ridiculous. I think it's a height of folly. I think it shows how far we've fallen.
But why is it ridiculous?
It's almost like it's almost like trying to fight something that's natural. You can't vote.
No, but why is it natural? Why are you assuming it's natural?
But that's a fair enough question, okay? And I'm assuming that it's natural because I'm understanding that that's how the kingdoms have always been. That's how God set it up. If there's not a kingdom that did not have a king.
Well, I mean, no, there's no kingdom that didn't have a king, because a kingdom, by the name, means there's a king.
There was no society that did not have a leader.
Of course, there's been societies and communities and tribes,
but they have tribe leaders.
Yeah, but a leader is not a king, and this is the whole point. When you talk about monarchy, that's a different office, that's a different government to other positions.
If those
is Donald Trump the king of America?
No, he's the president.
He's the president of America, exactly.
But
so
already because they run a democratic sort of like society.
Exactly. So in a democratic society, you can have a president, a prime minister, or whatever. Even in like an autocratic society, or like a let's say communist society or whatever, you could still have like the general. What do China have? They don't have a king. They have what's the guy, Xi Jinping? General. I don't know, the general, whatever. But my point is, the model of kingship, I see it as one option of running a country, one option of running a society. I wouldn't say it's the prescribed option of running a society. Now, is it common, and has it been common throughout history? Yes, 100%. But then does that mean that it's God ordained and every country must do it? I would say no. I think in as far as God has let humans do their own devices, a community, a country, a group of people can decide, do we want a king? Do we just want a tribal leader who listens to us? Do we want a democratic thing where we have advisors and counselors or whatever, or take votes? We can decide that. I think as long as what we're deciding and what we're doing is to the glory of God, I don't think God has too much of an issue with it.
So coming back to Prince Andrew, then, what do you think should happen to him? Like, speaking specifically about him, do you think what is happening is justice then? Because, like I said, at the moment, nothing has been proven. So even if we talk about innocent until proven guilty, he's not being afforded that. Fair enough. It's not the law that is sort of like forcing him to move on. Not that the king has taken that decision, but the king has taken the decision because of the pressures from the society and the damage it was doing to his name. So I don't think we can blame him for taking action. But at the same time, nothing. It's just all circumstantial at the moment. I mean, the evidence is there, but he's not been proven to be guilty of anything. He's not apologized for anything, which hasn't worked well for him. can we still say we're in a society where it's innocent until proven guilty? Or in his case, is it just that the evidence is so overwhelming that he might as well be guilty even by no trial?
Yeah, I mean, and I think I've heard people have this discussion because I think that's the issue that people are trying to wrestle with here, to say that is it right that he's losing all these things when really he hasn't been he's not convicted of anything. However, I think this is one of those rare occasions where we see the natural I don't want to say the natural law of justice, but the fact of the matter is he hasn't been convicted of anything. But anyone who has followed the story or has had a look into this story knows there is more to this story than
meets the eye.
Absolutely.
Right? But we need to find out those more in the court of law.
And this is the thing. Now, someone made a fair point to say if this was the ordinary, let's say, manager, CEO or whatever, they couldn't afford to settle a case of 12 million, right? But because he's a royal, that 12 million likely came from our tax money. He was able to settle this thing out of court so that we didn't get the court trial. And so already the question is, well, is that fair? Because the law implies that everyone must go through the court.
The system.
Unfortunately, he has the means to, in essence, pay someone off.
Are you saying that by paying someone off, that was illegal?
No.
That within the law as well?
Not illegal, but it is a privilege that's afforded to him. That's not afforded to many people.
But it's afforded to
it's
a
okay.
lot of people.
No.
It's afforded to a lot of millionaires and billionaires.
That's fine. But the point of the matter is, it's either the way I see it is not the way I see it, but I think maybe this is a fair point that I've heard to say 12 million is a large sum of money, right? This is not 200,000, 500,000, 1 million. Okay, you know what? We don't need, as a royal family, we don't need the press. How much does she want? 1 million? Okay, fine, give it to her, whatever. 12 million is a large sum of money. So for you to part with 12 million pounds, it means you're really trying to not go to court. So the question is, why are you not trying to go to court? Because if someone is innocent...
Because his mum was not well at the time, so he realized that this is I really can't be dealing with that. I need to be focusing on mum. 12 million is not a big deal to me. Take it, be gone with it, and let me carry on my life, let me look after my mum. I'm not saying
that. No. Listen, if that's the reason someone gave, I would say, I hear you, but unfortunately, optics matter. And the fact of the matter is, anyone who has nothing to hide, like he says, and this is the thing, he's not even saying, he's not denying anything. His point is, I don't remember. And I'm sorry, a lot of people know that when someone is caught doing something, or something comes to light, the best way to say is, no, it wasn't me, is I can't remember. Because if someone says you can't remember, they have nothing, no one can question you on anything.
No denying.
Exactly. I'm not saying I didn't do it. I'm not saying I did do it. All I'm saying is I can't remember, therefore I have nothing else to say. It would be different if you're saying this is a ludicrous claim. This is a ludicrous claim. Let's go to court. I'll prove she's lying. Yes, he can say, yes, I was friends with Jeffrey. Yeah, yes, we went to parties or whatever. But this aspect that she's saying about this,
I never
ludicrous.
got involved.
I never got involved. I never knew Jeffrey was doing all that, whatever. And if he made that stance and stood there and said, I'll go to court and defend my name, I think a lot of people may have been split. To say, no, you know what?
Courts are either way. It's not always the one who's telling the truth that wins.
No, but the reason why the court system still works, it's not perfect, but 9 times out of 10, the truth does come out in court. It's not perfect. I'm not saying it's 100% accurate, but the reason it works is because there's enough measures in place to ensure that or at least some substance of the truth comes out. So anyway, all I'm saying is, and the reason why he's gone quiet as well is because I think he knows that justice is being served. Because it would be different if all these things were happening and he was out saying, why are you taking everything away from me? I haven't done anything wrong. You should be up there campaigning, saying, guys, I haven't been convicted in a court of law. I haven't I haven't done anything wrong. Why are you taking everything away from me? He's silent.
Maybe he's realized that could do more damage for the royal family than he needs to. And at the end of the day, he is acting in the best interest of the royal family now, because he also gave up the titles of Duke of Sussex, I think it was not so long ago as well, because of the same surrounding things and whatnot. So in some way he's realizing that, you know what, I'm messing up here. So he's decided to just stay quiet and continue going.
I mean,
as long as in fact, if that means he's avoiding the going to court and making things worse.
I mean, one would argue that's the if you're truly innocent. If you're truly innocent, you've done nothing wrong. One would argue that's the coward's way out.
It's a coward's way out. That ensures that your family name is not slandered even more.
Well, fine, but then if he's taking the coward's way out, then I'll say, yeah, fine, you deserve to be stripped of everything.
So you are saying, no, even if he's going to destroy the monarchy that's already crumbling right now, he should be out there saying, I'm innocent, I'm innocent, I'm innocent.
For honor and for name, we have very little in this life, and I think most people will agree. Your name, your honor, and your reputation, especially as a man, is really one of the few things that we have.
He's found it not more important than the name and honor of the family as a whole.
Fine, I'm fine with that. Then you deserve everything that you had to be taken away from you. It's as simple as that.
Wow.
It's as simple as that. But let's be fair.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. If we look on the balance of what's played out with him, I think the fact of the matter is he got up to things that he shouldn't have got up to.
I think that much is
he
clear.
got caught and now he's just trying to do damage control. And unfortunately, because obviously he wasn't convicted in a court of law, a lot of people feel cheated by that because they're saying, well, we never really got to find out the truth. And so people are calling for blood. People are calling for... today I was hearing, there's some road names that are named like Prince Andrew Way, Prince Andrew Drive. They want to change them. They want to get them away or whatever.
With people, give them an arm. They want the whole body.
But you see, it all stems back to the fact that they feel cheated because there was no trial. And again,
it's almost like he's above the law kind of situation where nobody's meant to be above the law.
That's the argument they're making. Now, whether you agree with that or not, because if the law allows you to pay someone off, then you're doing that. You're not above the law. But, it's a... Because to be fair, the ladies' team could have refused the settlement. They could have been like, no, we want to convict this guy because of this thing that he did.
And I think they should have. And I think
so at the same time, we really can't put everything on him. But the fact of the matter is, there's more to this story than meets the eye. Damage has already been done. I think they're just trying to be like, you know what? Let's erase him from history. But in terms of bloodline, will he die a disgraced prince? Yes, he will die.
I think so. I think that should have been their rhetoric.
But stripping him of the titles means he can no longer benefit in this world as the Prince Andrew, because now you can go to events, you get paid. Oh, Prince Andrew is coming. We have royalty with us here today. There is perks that come with being called a prince on this earth. So removing that means you're removing all those benefits, all those perks as well, which on this world, for some, it's some sort of penance, some sort of justice, maybe. I don't know. So should it have been done? I think, given the complexity of this story, I understand it, which is weird because...
But that's not saying whether you think it should have been done or not. You understand it. I understand it. I'm slightly leaning on the side of I think they should have gone a different route. I understand the stripping of the things is to almost to show that, okay, fine, we are sort of like disowning him. We are separating him from the family. We don't, we are acknowledging that he's not done a good thing, and this is his punishment. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because the law aside, as a family, they've looked at his conduct. As a family, they've looked at his behavior. As a family, they still have to deal with something that he may or may not have done that has brought a shadow on the family, right? So they're saying that, you know what? You did this. So as a result, this is what we're going to do about the situation. I'm fully in agreement with that. I think for me, the only thing that I had an issue with was the stripping of the prince part, because you are born into that, right? That's not, it's not a title that is given. I know the Harry's children, I think there was a conversation about how it's no longer automatic, or maybe even William's as well. Now they have to be given or awarded or whatnot. I don't understand that. I'm just like, well, what's going on here? You are born of a royal line. That is who you are. But you have royal blood in you.
But even biblically, lineages came to an end. So
if the last person dies, or if it dilutes so much, but in the same way, not biblically per se, this one will be movies, but remember, if there's no king missing or whatnot, they would go hunt for a half breed somewhere who's got half the king's blood and say, no, you are the rightful owner of this seat. We want you to come and rule us because you are from this family.
But you see, all that is the people upholding the bloodline.
Absolutely, which is important.
But then if the people vote for a new king, or if the people say, no, now we want Arthur the Braveheart to be our new king, now a new kingship has been established.
Absolutely.
So it all goes back to the people. So if the people say you're no longer our king,
but the other it will be established, but the other person can also rightfully come back and say, no, that's my fault.
But then now he has to fight for it.
And that's where
that's where fights broke out, because now it's a matter of, okay, fine, winner takes all.
But he's not wrong in saying that that's my seat.
But the other one is not wrong in saying, no, I'm the king.
No, he's not wrong in saying that I'm the king because they put me here. He's not going to say that I'm the king because I'm of royal blood. He's going to say I'm the king because they put me here. Whereas he's going to say I'm the king because I'm of royal blood.
So you agree that they both have claim to the throne?
I'm agreeing that they can both claim. No. I'm agreeing that the elected one can claim because the people have elected him, but the blood one has ownership and rightship to that throne, because it's almost like the country is almost like a possession to them. It's his possession. It's his land. It's their land, and it's almost like going to Africa somewhere and dispossessing somebody of a land that has been in their family for generations, just because people have said, no, we want you to have this land instead. What, my G? No, this I have that, my great grandfather, you see what I mean?
I think when it comes to these things, and I think the only difference is you can't have a king without a kingdom, and unfortunately, this is why kings are not meant to be lords over their people. They're meant to be servants of their people, because kings are there to serve the people. And this is why revolutions happen, because when the people are tired of the king that they have, they'll get rid of that king and they'll establish a new king. So really, when it comes to kingship, yes, as a king, you may have resources, power, and army and whatnot, but if your people get together and overthrow you, they set up a new king. So the power really is in the hands of the people, ultimately. Which I guess is what's happening here. The people have said, we don't want this person to be a prince anymore, and that's what's happening. And I think that's not a terrible system. It mirrors, obviously, the ultimate system that God has given us. But even God, he created angels, created people, or whatever, and the New Jerusalem is a kingdom. There's a king and there's a people. Now, obviously, there's no parallel in that we can't overthrow God, but isn't that what Satan wanted to do?
To try.
But the fact of the matter is, a king needs a kingdom, needs a people. And the whole point is that king needs to serve the people. If Prince Andrew had been serving the people, being upright and just or whatever, it would be great. Yeah, there would be no this or whatever. The issue is, the flesh got the best of him. And I mean, to be fair, the issue is he got caught. There's probably a bunch of people who were doing the same thing. The issue is he got caught and he just happened to be the prince.
Unfortunately, and now he's a scapegoat, or the one that they need to hang out.
There you go.
And like I was saying, just to touch on this aspect as well, the reason why this sort of like started my mind thinking a little bit was the fact that I was finding myself to be grateful of the fact that the way God is delivering salvation, because remember the Bible says that we are heirs of thy kingdom as well. Another verse saying that we are the royal priesthood unto God, or unto Christ, and we're seeing that it is Christ, by Christ dying, and us dying in Christ and becoming new creatures, that's the right that has put us into that kingdom, or into that royalty, for example, and it can never be stripped away. You can never be called, you're prince no more, and B, we're not going to be living that kind of Andrew life anyway. Our life is going to reflect, or should be reflecting, the life that is sort of like Christ-like life, reflecting that we are heirs of that kingdom. In fact, the Bible still does say that we are like gods on earth. We are gods. That sounds weird, doesn't it?
No, yeah.
But yeah, so that's the story that sort of like has been shaking UK, Britain, England this week. One less prince Some out there are sitting thinking, good riddance. One gone,
Riddance.
good riddance. That's what I said.
Okay, come on.
Okay. One down, a few more to go. Others maybe are mourning him. I don't think they're not mourning him.
Nah, I don't think so.
Others maybe are just laughing and watching it a spectacle. But like I say, this was an interesting conversation because a lot of the things that have been established on earth are mirrors of what God wants us to understand about eternity, wants us to understand about salvation, understand about the kingdom of God, understand about his love he's given us. So things like marriage, for example, father, parent, child relationships, and things like king and kingdoms are sort of like some of the examples that he's put out there for us to understand the depth of his love for us and the extent of the plan of salvation. So this was quite interesting to see a prince that was born a prince, lived a prince. He's now what? He almost looks like he's 95, to be honest with you. I know he's not that old. And now he's having his princelyhood stripped off because of his behavior. Are we not glad that's not how salvation works? Otherwise, how many of us will still have a princelyhood if that was the method? Shall we move on to the next one?
Yes, let us, yeah.
Now then, I thought Chin was going to like this conversation quite a lot, or maybe I was going to like it quite a lot. I don't know, but we're going to talk about feelings.
Hi guys, this is Editor Chin from the editing chair. So what happened here is we then went on to have a long discussion about empathy following the Surround episode featuring Allie Beth Stuckey. Now, unfortunately, I forgot to unmute our mics following her video that we played. And so as you can see here, we had a very, very interesting discussion, and now Alexa is going. It is a week of technical difficulties today. As you can see here, we had a long discussion about empathy, but unfortunately, by the time we're getting to the end, we realized the mics weren't on. So what we did is we just backtracked and summarized a few of the key points that we made. So we're going to jump back into the video at that point. And if you stick around until the end, you'll be able to see the moment that we realized that we had just royally messed up.
All right, guys. So we had a discussion around empathy following the Surround episode with Allie Beth Stuckey. We had a discussion about a good 20-30 minutes in regards to what we think about that, etc. We went into detail. Unfortunately, just as the discussion was wrapping up, I looked down and realized our mics were muted. So there's a 20-minute video of us miming, pretty much. So it happens. What can you do? So we're just going to go through the key points, I guess, that we made during that discussion, because we think it was an important discussion to be had. And we're also interested to hear what you guys have to say. Right. So this was the video that was being discussed, or rather, the third prompt in this video is what was being discussed, which is Allie Beth Stuckey's claim that empathy can be toxic and can lead to sin.
My first claim is the Bible says marriage is only between one man and one woman. My next claim is abortion is a grave moral evil. My next claim is empathy can be toxic and lead to sin.
So Nick, you agreed. Why did you agree?
100%. So I found it quite interesting because the world that we're living in, I feel like has become very, very mushy. I think it's become very emotional. It's become very feelings led, right? There's a lot, there's this phrase that you hear quite a lot now, which is you are invalidating my feelings. You know, validations of feelings has become sort of like a must do. You cannot tell somebody that they can't feel like that, you know? So when I heard her make that claim, it resonated with me because, well, no, what if your feelings are rooted in evil? What if I need to tell you that, no, you shouldn't be feeling like that, you know? You are attracted to the same sex. No, you shouldn't be attracted to somebody like that, you know? You are driven to want to sleep around in promiscuity. No, you shouldn't be feeling like that. You shouldn't be enjoying those things, you know? Let's say something a bit more serious, and, you know, let's say, I don't know what serious one I can't, but let's say you're depressed, you know? you're anxious, life is pressing on you quite a bit, yes, I understand that, but what we want is for you to get out of that, not for me to cry with you forever. So sometimes the way empathy is sold it's almost like I need to be in your shoes and feel how you're feeling and say, yes, it's okay. You see, and say, yes, how you're feeling is fine. One of the examples that she gave when you do go, if you do catch the episode, she spoke about someone feeling as if they are in the wrong body. Now, you have to remember, we're discussing this in a Christian context. Now, I do understand that the liberal Christians are the ones. She was surrounded by liberal Christians, by the way. I think I forgot to mention that. And she's a conservative. So the liberals are the ones that are more feelings like, the ones that are more, no, the Bible doesn't talk about homosexuality. They find a lot of justifications to clear examples. Make sense? So she said that something like that, for example, applying empathy, deep empathy in that situation could lead you to affirming someone's feelings of, yes, you were born in the wrong body,
Yeah, and I think the point I was stuck on highlighting is that I think maybe empathy has been hijacked.
Yes.
We know often with the left and with all these progressive movements, they hijack words.
Yes.
It's something that we thought we knew what it meant, and all of a sudden it's like, that's not what it means anymore.
Exactly, yeah.
And the reason I'm saying that is because empathy, for me, empathy doesn't have to equal validation, or empathy doesn't have to equal affirming, right? Because empathy is, the definition here says, empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another, right? That has nothing to do and then affirm them and then validate them and then confirm that they're right. It just means you have the ability to understand and share in those feelings. And I think the reason that's important is because sometimes, often, and whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, I think it's just a thing that we can't ignore, is that sometimes when we're hearing a voice from someone who hasn't experienced what we've gone through, or we're not confident that they know exactly how we're feeling, their words land a bit thin.
Absolutely.
Their words land
because
a
we
bit
feel like
hollow.
they cannot understand the thoughts that are going on.
Yes,
therefore
exactly.
They cannot really advise properly.
Because the thing is, I hear what you're saying, but you don't really understand, right? Whereas when you have someone who has gone through that thing, who has experienced it, and has come out the other side, and they're telling you, I know exactly how you feel, then they have the ability to understand that, okay, no, this person does know how I feel. However, I think for me, the true two terms I introduced in our first recording was immature empathy and mature empathy, right? Immature empathy is just because I feel what you're feeling, just because I now see the world from your point of view, it means what you're saying is right, it's perfect. Now, you're okay, stay depressed. It's like, you're telling me everything that's wrong in your life that's making you depressed, and then I just turn around and go, yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I'm depressed too now. Is that the kind of world we want to live in?
Well, people do, yeah.
You see, so mature empathy for me is the ability to feel how someone is feeling, to step in their shoes, to see the world from their point of view. But then, because you're mature enough in your emotional maturity, you say, okay, fine. I see exactly how you're seeing the world. I see exactly why you're feeling depressed. Okay, look here instead of here. You're looking at this, look at this. You're thinking about this, think about this, right? And for me, that's that mature empathy that I think can exist. An empathy that allows you to enter the trenches with someone. But again, while they're busy looking down, you've got the arm around there, you've got your arm around them, and you're looking up and you're guiding them to the light, or you're guiding them to the right way. Because I think the difference between sympathy and empathy, people often put it as sympathy. You're standing here saying, oh, I feel really bad for you. That must be really tough.
They make it seem
I understand.
distant.
Yeah, they make it seem distance. Whereas empathy, it's like they're really there with you, they're holding you, whatever. And I have no problem with that. I think there's certain situations in life where you do need to feel like someone is there in the trenches with you, holding you. But then that person then has to lead you out of the trenches. And I would argue that's what Jesus did. Jesus came as a man in our body. That's the trenches. He entered the trenches.
Felt what we felt.
Felt what we
ate
felt.
what we ate.
But the Bible says he still remained without sin.
Absolutely.
Right? Because even though he was in our fleshly bodies, even though he was tempted in the same way that we were tempted, because he was mature enough to resist sin, we can put it that way, he was able to, so that he can be like, okay, I'm feeling what you're feeling, but I'm not saying, oh, you know what, God, I think we got it wrong.
Absolutely.
I think we got it wrong, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this flesh thing, it's kind of dope.
And I'll tell you why that's important, because there's a saying that we always hear that we are only humans. You know, I'm only human. You know, I'm prone to sin. I'll continue to sin. Christ defeated that. Christ is saying, no, I was human. I didn't sin.
Yes.
As I have, so can you.
And it's Hebrews, I think Hebrews 4:12, that says, because we don't have a high priest who doesn't understand
absolutely
what we're going through. Some versions use sympathize, some versions use empathize. I think the King James just says, who isn't touched by our feelings. But the whole point is that he understands, right? Now, I don't know whether people want to term that sympathy or empathy, whatever. All I know is that he's there in the trenches with us, right? And for me, that's empathy.
Yeah.
It's an empathy that leads you into the light.
Mature empathy,
not one that drowns with you. And I think that's how I view it. So I agree with her and you that I think because right now we teach or we push an immature empathy in the world, it's leading many into trying to save someone from drowning and they drown with them.
It's not even so much the drowning. For me, it's so much the people themselves now. The people that you go to empathize with. It's so much. They're the ones that are now sort of like, you've not understood my feelings. You know, you've not validated my feelings. So for me, they're sort of like the biggest problem, because if you don't come with that same energy, if you don't come to say, yes, I'm gonna leave you there, automatically, instantly, you're a problem.
Yeah,
instantly,
but
you've not understood.
I mean, ultimately, I agree with your point, but I think it's also, and this is why I really like the word mature these days. But this way, it's about maturity as well, both in wisdom and in approach, because there is a situation where with something, let's say grief. I'm gonna bring that example up again. If someone just lost someone they love today, I don't think that's the day to be like, hey, it gets better.
No.
It gets better,
but
right?
You're right. That touches more on the approach.
No, but that's the thing, because if someone could be like, on that day, it's like, no, but I'm just telling them that it gets better. Like, what's wrong with that? Like, I understand it's tough, but I'm doing. It's like it's not the time. Like, there's a time to cry and there's a time to heal. So,
but what if
this is the time to,
when they went through,
3,
they wanted
4,
somebody
5
to tell
weeks
them
later,
it's better?
Huh?
What if when they went through it, on the first day, they wanted to hear someone saying it gets better?
No, if that was the case, then listen, if that's a genuine position they're coming from, then I'll put it down to one of those life misunderstandings. Because if it's coming from a good place and they understand deeply and they're thinking, you know what, when I was in this situation, the first hour I found out and I needed someone to tell me that voice, and they're trying to offer that service to someone, it may not be right for that person.
Absolutely.
But
at least it's coming from good intention.
I'll put that down to life's misunderstanding. It happens. The being annoyed is the price of community, right? I'll put that down to that. But 9 times out of 10, maturity will tell you that there's a time and place, right? On the first day, probably not the day. You know, 2, 3, 4 months later, if they're still in the depths of despair, yeah, probably it's time to start telling them that, you know what, no, life must go on, you know? And so I think maybe that's just like a caveat I'm adding, because sometimes people will say something prematurely and then be questioning, oh, why was they received badly? Why is it? Oh, you know, they just want me to validate their feelings. I'm not about it. So no. It's also about time, place, situation, approach, and stuff like that. So yeah, sometimes it's just a matter of sitting with someone, and either you cry with them or you wait for them to cry. You know, you let them cry, let them cry, and sometimes it just resolves it. They finish crying. I'm hungry. Do you want pizza? Yeah, you're gonna get pizza.
Absolutely.
You know, but if you had tried in that first hour, oh, you know what? It's okay. You don't need to cry, whatever. Who knows where it could have gone? But unfortunately, it's not a prescription. It's a maturity thing, and I think this is why we need to spend time in the Word. We need to really adopt the mind and the heart of Christ, because all these things will become second nature to us, because the Spirit in us will tell us exactly how we ought to act in different situations. But having said all that, yes, in the current way that empathy is being preached in society, it can be toxic, and it can lead to Christians affirming sin, which we've seen it's happened. That's why we have LGBT churches, Seventh-day Adventists, you know, all these things. Why? Because they understand the struggle of someone who has the same sex attraction. They understand the oppression they face, the discrimination they face. They understand how heavy of a life they've lived. And instead of saying, it's tough, we get it, but this way is the light, they're saying, oh, it's tough, we get it, we accept you as you are. Which is, I would argue, that's an immature form of empathy.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Like we said, we do apologize. This was our bite-sized version where we've just given you a few of the main points that we've raised. But can I just toot our own horns and say that this also shows our commitment? We could have just wrapped up and gone home and post a message saying that due to, what is it called? Technical issues, we could not give you the second segment of this episode, so enjoy the first ones. But we said, no, let's at least highlight a few of the main points that we've highlighted. Again, as per usual, or with the hope of encouraging conversations, encouraging thoughts, encouraging biblical questions, queries for ourselves, for yourselves, for your church leaders, for your community. You know, our aim is to bring about conversations that will help us as a body, as a group, as Christians, whether you mean that by denominations or believers, as I like to say, in Christ, to grow in faith. That's what we're here for, and we will do that by tackling all sorts of conversations. Please like, comment, subscribe, and like I said, you've witnessed the commitment yourself, so I'm sure you want to give us your full support. That will be all for this week. Like Chin likes to say, the world is busy dancing to its beat, and we ought to be offbeat.
Tune.
Off tune.
Dancing to its tune.
What did I say?
We
Dancing
ought to be offbeat. To its beat.
Yeah.
We don't want to repeat the word beat.
Oh dear. So the world is busy dancing to its tune. We ought to be off tune.
No. Yikes. Oh my word. How long was that? Like 30 minutes.
It was a whole second segment.
It was a whole
from
second
the video.
segment. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're probably going to release this little short clip. We've just finished doing a 30-minute recording just to realize Chin had not removed the mic from the mute button. So now there's a video of us out there with our mouths moving, having a very, very nice conversation as well that you guys will never get to hear because it was not recorded.
I wonder if AI can read our lips and add the voice and add the voice in afterwards.
It's really upsetting, but it's part of the business that we are in.
Oh my!
We've learned our lesson. We will make sure not to do it again.
How that happened?